Well, of course I would make you a mod here as well. Did that all the way back when you decided to try and show up in here as well. Anyway, good evening, afternoon, or whatever time of the day it is in your part of the world. And tonight, as promised, we will be going back to Vampire the Masquerade, Reckoning of New York. Now give me just a second to appear back, and we will be continuing where we left off. There we go. As for why I am here, well, as you may have probably seen, I get indefinitely suspended from Twitch. Why? The reason that I state is, of course, a botted account. So I am calling shenanigans on that one because, hey, it's not a botted. It was not a botted account. After all, it was just Stream Elements sending out a message at the start of every stream that I'm live now. Hopefully the appeal system will not fail me, otherwise I will be somewhat disappointed. But enough of that as it stands. Otherwise I will be just making myself once again sad. I'm not sad now, but most likely it'll catch up a little later. Now then, let's continue where we left off, shall we? As soon as you've captured the game properly, like so. Hopefully, yes, there we go. Good bot. Also, before I forget, that should be a little better now. And here we go. Almost. Okay, just stick around here. I am of course talking to the chat window, and I would like its utmost cooperation in these trying times. Like so. There. Now we can continue. Now then. I think I've said this one too many times. Anyway. First things first, feeding opportunity. The stash I promised Skylar is just around the corner. I really hate flaking out on promises, but damn, I'm starving here. And feeling like shit. And a little sip from one tiny blood bag won't hurt anybody, right? I'm sure it won't. I don't like to backtrack on a transaction. It's really bad for business. But I'm alone and I am in a shitty mood. Also, you are getting toned down, because you will start growing louder on me. Now then. But I'm alone and in a shitty mood, and the hunger is already slithering into my mind. I'd like to have all my wits about me for tomorrow night. So when it just so happens that I'm in the right neighborhood, I head to the stash that I sold to Skylar for that short but memorable meeting with Jess. To my surprise... No surprises. I was kinda expecting it since Lady Luck's already dumped a steaming pile of shit on my head. Skylar is there, rummaging through blood bags. Hey, toss me one, will you? She jumps up, startled, nearly dropping the goodies in her hand. She turns around and glares at me when I approach and help myself to a bag. So when you said I could have this stash, I meant it. But this is kinda an emergency. I don't know how you guys do deals, but where I come from, there's no takesies backsies. I plop down into the sidewalk and look at her incredulously. Takesies backsies? What are you, 3? She stands next to me, but a careful distance away, while I sip the god-awful thaumaturgically processed blood. Silence hangs in the air like a brick. You look like shit. That's pretty much how I feel too, so yeah. Go ahead, laugh all you want. I don't really care. She grins but makes an attempt to conceal it. Guess she was raised better than I was. I'd be rolling on the floor laughing at the misery of someone who kicked my ass 4 nights ago. So what happened? Did you find that side of yours? I tossed my head back and laughed hysterically. Girl, it'd be easier to tell you what didn't happen. But let's actually do that. Yeah, I found my sire. Or rather, he found me. Asshole. I'm sorry to hear that. No need. It's a lesson learned for me. She murmurs something vaguely comforting but does not prod. And I'm grateful for that. And that also reminds me that I need to send a message out to the other servers I'm on that I'm up and streaming. Believe it or not, YouTube is actually a little less comforting, or rather comfortable, when it comes to streaming. But then again, these are the times we live in, and we just gotta make it all work for us. One second, and we will be able to continue. And there. Yep, we gotta work with the hands we are dealt. I get up to my feet, feeling slightly more in control, and brush the dirty snow off my clothes. Thanks, I owe you one. I rummage in my belt bag and fish out a crumpled business card. I know you Duskborn have it tough getting around the juice suppliers, so here, my number. Give me a call and I'll see what I can do for you. I hesitate for a bit. Just wait a week or so. I've got some shit I need to deal with first. She takes it and looks down at it suspiciously. That's fair, I guess. Thanks. Are you gonna stick around New York or... Nah, I'm outta here. I try not to get offended at the visible relief on her face, so I start waving my hands energetically. Frankly, everybody should just take a hint and just leave. The city is getting straight up uninhabitable. You can't even take a step without getting shit from the Camarilla, hunters, mysterious floating river cunts. Nuh-uh, hard pass. She finally smiles at me and tucks the card into her pocket. Well, it was... I mean... Yeah, see you around. Or not. How many servers? The usual number. I was just getting a bit sloppy with adjusting to streaming on YouTube. I don't need to see any more frenemies tonight. 2's already pushing it. So back to the main quest. Friends and places. I'm such a mess I can't even put together one coherent thought. I need to rest, and the only place I can think of is Motto's. But without Patrick around, I wonder how welcome I'll really be. Guess we'll find out. So you weren't just bragging, huh? Mata gives my RV a thorough once-over, his gaze tracing every line and shadow. There's an unmistakable hint of desire in his look, but he keeps his hands to himself, at least. It's really something. Do all Ravnos roll in style like this? Couldn't tell you. There aren't enough of us to keep tabs on each other. Mato falls silent. The sort of deep contemplation does not match his brawny exterior, but it's clear he's genuine. Otherwise, I might have sassed it off. Is it true, what everyone's whispering? About Elysium and all? Yep. He backs off when he sees I'm not keen on sharing more. He's a rare one, this motto. I should get going, but just one more question. Shoot. Is Patty okay? Last I saw him, he was fine. Dodged the worst of it, luckily. I can feel the relief washing over him. I sincerely believe Paddy doesn't deserve your friendship, oh gentle giant. Alright then, the garage is yours. Get some rest, Callie. You look like hell. I'll do my best. He gives a nod as if tipping an invisible hat and walks off. But I'm left feeling like I missed something crucial. Mato? Yeah? Thanks. I owe you one. Forget about it. That goofy grin of his lights up, and he disappears into the building next door. Now, it's just me. I thought cruising around the city at night might untangle my thoughts. Instead, it's knotted them together even tighter. Every sensible part of me wants to cut and run, to leave all this madness behind. But then there's that impulsive side that's been leading the charge since day one, convincing me there might be just some merit to Reynard's crazy plan. If being a Raven has taught me anything, it's that snap decisions tend to work out for me in the end. I'm not gonna decide anything right this minute. For now, I'm out. I'll see where my head's at come nightfall. Meanwhile, I think we can bump the audio volume up a little. Who are you? I'm begging you, mistress. None of us saw that coming. It's just... maybe the lad's wrong. Maybe we shouldn't trust... Silence. Mistress? I find no reason to doubt that bewildered boy. He may speak with defiance, but his hunger for what I've offered him is too great to be ignored. It is a bitter pill to swallow, but we've indeed been outmaneuvered. You shall bear the brunt of that mistake. Of that you can be certain. But now is not the time for groveling. We must act. What should we do? You and those two other imbeciles remain integral to the scheme. Maintain your roles. Pretend that nothing has changed, and be utterly convincing. Once you secure the item, dispose of the others. All of them? All of them. That was certainly a monumental night. Elysium got attacked, our sire found us once again, and we are, as the youth these days say, back on our bullshit. Let's see if Night 7 will bring anything, anything monumental as that. Night 7. December 2024, New Year's Eve. In spite of last night's paralysis, the second my eyes open, my mind's already made up. I'm just wired to follow my gut, to be driven by impulses, the good, the bad, the totally random, and that's exactly what I'm gonna do. I'm jumping into the fray. I'm backing Reynard. Not because I'm still hung up on him, or because it's some noble pipe dream he has for our clan. Hell no. I'm in it purely for the thrill of the new. End of days nigh? Not yet. Not yet, at least. After all, as they say, it's not the end of the world, but you can see it right over the horizon. It's pretty much a death wish, but screw it. Comes with the Ravnos territory. Who the hell is knocking on my RV? Callie, you in there? Get out of there, fast! Oh, it's just my kind host. What choice do I have but to oblige? Mato, what's going on? Look, Callie, I'm really sorry, but you need to leave. Now. Did I mess up something? He looks all twisted up, like he's been on high alert since last night. No, you didn't. It's just some serious shit hit the fan and I only just found out. Staying here ain't safe for you. Is it that bad? It's a goddamn disaster. I could grill him for more, but his disaster isn't my circus. Not anymore. I've got other places to be. Give me 5 and I'm out of your hair. Thanks. It's for the best, really. Hit me up in a few months, yeah? Once everything's cooled down. Doubtful. I'm basically an outcast now, and I wasn't planning on a return trip either. This place is a magnet for bullshit. I see. That's too bad, really. But in case you change your mind, we'll see. Stay safe, Mato. He gives me a frantic nod, his mind obviously racing someplace else. What the hell are the anarchs up to? Yeah, whatever. I'm out. First things first, I'm gonna drive my baby back to the isolated parking spot from before. I don't think the Camarilla's gonna be that interested in gutting my RV again, so she should be safe there. Next, a rendezvous with Renard and his endless drivel. I hope he's at least cooked up a plan that doesn't require my final death. I'm gonna do everything I can to get that vial, and then we'll see just how good I really am at surfing through sheer fucking chaos. What will we do without regular bots? Enjoy the show, obviously. Consider it an extended break. Burning Man. Reinhardt's a ruthless con man, willing to lie, cheat, and kill to get his hands on Zapathasura's blood. But, as insane as it sounds, there's something undeniably thrilling about being part of the heist to end all heists. And I can't deny I unlive for the thrill. I'm a daredevil after all. I show up early. Way too early. I tell myself it's just my usual routine, checking the perimeter to make sure there aren't any red flags. Old habits die hard, I guess. I'm on the prowl, eyes peeled for any sign of a trap, or anyone looking for trouble. See, you are now Callie. Don't consider the paid leave. Consider it... what's the correct word? Forgot what it's called, but... just be on half alert. Yeah, I think we can go with half alert. I scour the place for our secret messages, desperate for something that yells, "Callie, babe, this one's for you." Then I grab the best hiding spot I can find, slip into the shadows, and settle in to wait. And wait. And wait. God damn it, where is he? I pace restlessly, while the infamous clock of Tribeca Tower mocks my naivety. Minutes turn to hours, and I start feeling like a complete moron waiting for he who never shows. Deja vu slaps me in the face. Hard. Same shit, different night. Well, maybe the gritty Manhattan backdrop adds some flavor to the bitterness. Hardly a week's gone by, and here I am, repeating my mistakes. Except now I'm willingly blindfolded, fully aware of the shitstorm I'm marching into. Silence, or you will become Kali Yuga. Damn, I'm too wired to think straight. Why the hell would Reynard ditch me, especially when he's the one who asked for my help? Unless he's played me again, which would make me the Queen of Fools. Makes no sense, though. No fucking sense at all. After another half hour of fuming, I start walking around randomly, hoping to bump into him just through sheer luck. Turns out I should have bailed earlier, because the asshole did leave a hint after all. My search was just half-assed. He tweaked some old hobo signs, mixing in just enough of our code to make it barely noticeable. It must have been a rush job, or I would have spotted it way sooner. The sign that usually means free medical help now reads, "This is a decoy. Head this way." It's pointing toward Times Square. Do I smell a conclusion to our story? God, there's something about this whole situation. Something I've missed so much. It's not the sign itself, it's the person behind it. The familiarity in those messed up strokes, the sense that it was meant just for me. I loathe the thought, but it wraps me up completely in this twisted sense of home. My clan's perverse idea of belonging. Focus on the damn job. You're a pro. You rule your emotions, they don't rule you. Remember that, kid. I snap out of it, give myself a couple of good refreshing slaps, and shove that yearning, the ache that brings nothing but ruin, back into the furthest corners of my mind. Reynard's own damned advice finally clicked. So at least there's that. I head for the subway without a second thought. I've got a direction and just a sliver of time to brace myself for whatever's down the road. I found him waiting in an alley a couple of blocks away from Carnegie Hall. He's strutting around with that smug grin of his, showing off his perfect teeth. It's a miracle his loud overcoat doesn't drown out the New Year's Eve celebrations. My sire, the king of bullshit, just as infuriatingly memorable as ever. Thank you. Seems they chose the spot carefully. It's shockingly quiet here. Whatever's planned, it's clear they want to keep any uproar around the convoy to a controlled minimum. Everything feels so mundane, aside from the distant sounds of revelry and the view of the Times Square ball. The moment Reynard senses me nearby, he turns around and gives me an aggravatingly casual salute, signaling for me to come over. Knew you wouldn't let me down, kid. Sure you did. I spot 3 other kindred with him, all dressed in black and gray, radiating this weird aura that seems to pull the shadows closer to them. Yep, that's the Tzimisce's men. Make that 2 kindred and 1 grade A douchebag. Told you. Well, well, well. What do you have for me tonight, lass? I see those tiny fists of yours getting ready. But I wonder, how will you fare without your cheap tricks this time, huh? I'm milliseconds away from tearing this asshole apart, but Reynard beats me to it. And what's your game plan, huh? Gonna throw punches without your fucking hands? Suddenly, Reynard's armed with a long, sharp machete. It's not the first time I've seen him pull this trick, in front of wide-eyed mortals usually, but this time it feels like he means business. The goon backs off, but there's something in his eyes I don't like. A kind of unspoken threat. Easy there, Mr. Castle. Don't get your panties in a knot. I thought as much. Knock it off. We're on the clock here. The trio fans out on Reynard's signal, scoping out the streets. I stand my ground, arms crossed, ready to vent my irritation when he comes over. I'd love to hear about how exactly you and Tharmas bumped into each other, but honestly, that guy's all over. It's impossible to miss him. Tharmas? What is he, the Greek god of assholery or something? Wouldn't that just make too much sense? He cracks a smile, clearly getting a kick out of my frustration. Nah, it's just his alias. Smells like something from a Blake poem. He's all about that esoteric horse shit. I can't help but feeling like I'm missing something important. But then again, it can't be that important if I can't catch it. I let the silence hang for a while, trying to figure him out, but he's more of a closed book than ever. So, all these guys, they're Vritra's crew? He pauses, mulling over his answer. Some of them, yeah. I drop my voice to a whisper. I wouldn't trust him with a bottle opener. Trust? Who said anything about... His gaze sharpens, annoyance flickering across his face. Doesn't happen often, but I've seen it before. Getting cold feet, Callie? It's all or nothing with me, you know that? Either you get fully on board and trust my lead, or we're done here. I give him a hard look. I just don't think these guys can actually pull it off. They'll manage. Plus, they're La Sombra. And that means... means shit in general, but tonight they're providing the digital offense. Any kind of modern tech goes haywire around them, makes us nearly invisible to smartphone cameras. That's either incredibly risky or downright brilliant, and Reynard is rarely off the mark. Still not clear on what I'm supposed to be doing. He locks eyes with me for the first time since we met up last night. Gone is any hint of the warmth I remember, replaced entirely by purpose. Chilling, undiluted purpose. It scares the undead shit out of me. I need you to be yourself, Callie. That cunning, sharp-tongued performer I embraced under the glare of that burning effigy. You've got this. Trust me. I wouldn't bet against you. It better be a damn good bet. His grin, phony as a $3 bill, somehow eases the tension. We just sit there for a while, soaking in the moment, a rare thing for our clan. Part of me aches to trust him. Damn, he's making it incredibly tempting. It would be so easy, so soothing to let down my walls and shove all my skepticism aside. It would hurt a lot less. But I can't let myself go there. Not with everything that's gone down. I've got to stay sharp, keep my defenses up, always on alert. Especially against him. Got any intel on the convoy? Number of vehicles, level of security, that kind of thing? Based on what I've gathered, they're rolling with just one lightly armored van, unmarked to stay under the radar. Expect the driver and their right-hand man up front with a backup car or two to follow. All trained for combat. He cuts himself off and quickly rises to his feet. You'll have to figure out the rest as we do. Shit's about to go down. Just then, I catch a signal from one of the La Sombras. The convoy is about to approach. Come, let's give those folks the show of a lifetime. Slipping back into my old self feels like putting on a worn-out pair of jeans. Familiar and comforting, but you know all the places they pinch. So even as I am chafing, I pretend everything's the same. Like we're just two old pals, him teaching, me learning. There's still some twisted respect there, I admit, but I'm not blinded by his bullshit anymore. This is the only way I can pull this off. That's my secret to keeping a poker face, even when I'm drowning in this sea of lies. Perhaps to truly discover myself, I had to vanish into the chaos first, but now I see clearly. I am Kali, a Ravnos through and through. I'm my own damn self, not some puppet on strings. Let's fucking do this. By the time I get back to Reynard, he's already in full swing, working the fast-growing crowd. Ladies, gentlemen, if I may have your undivided attention for just a moment. Yes, you too, big guy. I need you all to be a part of this. Without you, there's no magic. He pauses for dramatic effect, casting his gaze around, and somehow everyone immediately turns toward him, fixated on his captivating gestures. What the actual fuck, Reynard? Thought we were aiming for Loki. Hang tight, kid. Let the maestro do his work. He weaves through the crowd, pulling on the stragglers with his charm and dazzling them with quick-fingered tricks. I catch sight of a few smartphones coming out, but two of our La Sombra crew are on it, sticking though close to ensure all recordings end up a grainy mess. Tonight, we're diving headfirst into the unknown, an expedition of wonder. Are you with me? There's a resounding hell yeah. I keep my own lips sealed. To the fine folks gathered in this crazy, beautiful jungle, tonight, you're the key masters to the secrets of the universe. But I gotta ask, are your minds open? Are you prepared to question everything you've ever believed? The crowd's lapping this shit up. We're just puppets to the rules, the laws of physics, moral codes, you name it. Now let's not forget ordinances, the chains of our so-called society. I bet you know exactly what I mean. Especially you, sir. Yes, you in the cashmere vest. You look like you've got at least a couple of unfair parking tickets to your name. Am I right? The joke's lame as hell, but the crowd laughs anyway. But what if we said, fuck the rules tonight? What if I showed you the truth so wild it breaks every damn law and paves the path to true freedom? In a second, my beautiful assistant and I are gonna blow your minds with something that has been years in the making. It ain't a simple trick. It challenges what we accept as reality. So, one more time. Are you with me? The crowd's buzzing, which gives me the moment to jab Reynard in the side. Jesus, Reynard. This was your master plan? Working the crowd? Come on, don't be such a Debbie Downer. You'll love this. You're the headliner, after all. Huh? Our spectacle. It's your call. You've lost your goddamn mind. We've rocked this shit before, Callie. Loads of times. It's gonna be legendary, trust me. I won't trust him, thank you very much. But, even though I act pissed, I'm secretly buzzing with excitement. I know exactly the kind of magic we're gonna work tonight. The Grand Mirage. We're rolling with a 2-2-3. That's our shorthand for the trick's complexity and style we're about to pull off. It's his brainchild, so he gets the message right away. With a little twist, though. I trust you know what you're doing. Of course. I'm going with my gut. He nods and hypes up the crowd even more. Now, my friends, we're going beyond illusion, beyond mere tricks of the eye. This is the real magic. The kind of magic that makes matter reform and change at the flick of the magician's wrist. Tonight, we're gonna blow the lid off what you've always known, the shit the government buries to play us for idiots. Tonight, we'll make the impossible possible. So please, give a round of applause to this brave heart who has volunteered to be the focus of our upcoming journey. I slip into the role of the trick's subject, my current mood adding a touch of reluctance and irritation, my nods heavy with theatrical impatience. A journey of truth, tearing down the facade of our world. A journey in which my assistant will command the very essence of the universe itself to bend to her will, as easily as a blade of grass bends under the power of a hurricane. It's a spectacle not of trickery, but of transcendence. Forget the smoke, mirrors, CGI, or any hidden tricks. Tonight, we're diving deep with just our collective psyche and the sheer force of the mind, bending the reality of compact dimensions. He spins the bullshit, flailing around me in what looks like a mystic ritual, urging everyone to join in an idiotic effort to make me vanish. Oi, Raven, the sad, they're here. I jerk my head towards him. That dumbass from Vritar's gang is pointed at some plain van rolling up, shadowed by a dark sedan, both jammed up thanks to our street act. Reynard spots them and smirks like he's just won the lottery. Good to go, kid? Yeah, let's fucking do this. Knock their socks off. Make sure you grab everyone's attention. I nod, stepping forward with my killer smile, arms raised and drawing attention as I drop into a graceful bow. Ladies and gentlemen, and anyone in between, I dare you to raise your eyes to the sky to witness the miracle of bright nights and rushing tides. My hand shoots up with a mesmerizing flourish, pointing at the crescent moon, and all the eyes in the crowd follow as if led on a leash. I almost faint when new and still untamed power surges through me. The power of exposing what is seen out of the corner of one's eye, what is omitted and forgotten, what is uncanny and frightening. As before the very eyes of the curious onlookers, a sliver of the strikingly pale moon grows within the boundless void, as if pulled out of the cosmos inch by an unknown force, until it shines down brightly on the gathered crowd. I would have smirked if I wasn't so focused on maintaining the illusion. No, not maintaining. Pushing it further. I wave my hands in an exaggerated movement stolen bit by bit from an old anime I used to obsess over as a kid, and let out a wild, unhinged scream. You better not be going Super Saiyan, Callie. Blood Moon, heed my call. Reveal your true colors. The moon shimmers against the ocean of ink, starting to fade back into the sprawling darkness until it doesn't. From top to bottom and left to right, its pale glow stains with a swiftly deepening, eerie crimson. By the time the hungry red completely consumes it, the crowd's on edge, borderline scared. Uncertain whispers ripple through, bouncing from lip to lip. But I'm not done. Now, fall. My hands twist in the air, reaching up as if to grab the moon, trying to pluck it out of its eternal nest and hurl it onto Mother Earth. The moon pulses high in the sky, then starts to grow and grow and grow. Like a comet, like a meteor, like an impending doom. The crowd shudders, shielding their eyes, and then the moon vanishes like it was never there. First, There's silence. Then the crowd realizes every billboard, every conceivable screen along the street, instead of displaying an ad for the latest top-shelf water saturator, seems to be showing the image of my illusion. The televised Blood Moon, now streaming, $6.99 per month. Oh, what a steal! And then everyone goes wild. I watch their reaction from just beyond the crowd, unnoticed by the captivated onlookers. Nobody saw me slip off the stage. Nobody except Reynard, who shoots me a nod of quiet acknowledgement. Unseen, I melt back from the shadows just beyond the crowd, unnoticed by the captivated onlookers. Only then does the tension slam into me like a truck, nearly sending me to my knees. It worked! It fucking worked! I sigh. A pointless reflex, but it somehow resets my inner balance, even as this nagging unease, this dread of screwing up, continues to slither up my spine. I clench my jaw and stand my ground, locked in, fully alert. Reynard's got the crowd worked up past the point of no return. The Sombre trio scanning every corner, watching the Sad's van like hawks. That van, so plain and unnoticed, carries a vial of VtM so ancient it challenges all logic. Do those agents even know the significance of their cargo? SAD, Special Affairs Division. A rare breed of mortals with insight into our hidden world, spearheading the crusade against all evil. It feels like some messed up fairy tale. But hey, I used to say the same shit about vampires, didn't I? The agent steps out, the driver leading the way, shotguns at the ready, their gazes laser focused on the mob. They're beyond pissed. The driver attempts to disperse the crowd, screaming his lungs out, but it's like shouting into a black hole. They're stuck deep in their own heads thanks to Reynard's manipulation. Can't you see? We've just started and here they are, breathing down our necks, trying to control us, trying to fucking chain you up. Are you really gonna let that happen? Are you really gonna let them rip your freedom away just like that? As if on cue, the crowd starts booing the convoy's guards, who are totally lost trying to make sense of the chaos. Some stole Kane's private stash. Possibly. Or something else entirely. In the midst of it all, the Sombre trio moves into place, smoother than shadows. I'm on edge, jittery, waiting for my moment. So what are you waiting for, people? Let's tear them a new one! With Reynard's words lighting the fuse, the crowd explodes in fury, closing in on the guards who are frantically trying to not pull any triggers. The other two agents in the sedan are completely overrun, trapped by the seething mob. Reynard gives me a signal and melts into the crowd, beelining into the van. Weaving through the crowd, I make my way toward the driver, gently pushing bystanders aside with finesse and resolve. It does not take long before I spot a promising-looking key swinging from his belt. I edge closer, focused and driven, though the exhilaration almost betrays me. My hand barely shakes with excitement as I grasp the key, but the agent senses me the slight tug and instantly turns, our eyes meeting in a silent standoff. I'm nobody. Don't sweat it. You've got bigger problems, buddy. The agent, strangely sane given what just happened, nods and turns to fend off the increasingly aggressive crowd. I make a swift exit, not sticking around to see how it all plays out. I head to the van. With a key in hand, I could just snatch that vial and run, but a firm grip on my shoulder stops me. Nicely done, kid. Now, hand over the key. His gaze is chilling, void of warmth. Let go of me. We're running out of goddamn time. Look at the crowd. You wound them up way too much. I know. Give me the key. I'll get the vial as fast as I can. Before I can even snap back, he's already darting towards the van. My hand is suddenly empty. I try to give chase, but the throng of people swells and effectively blocks my path. The nagging unease slithers up my spine yet again. Feels like a damn century, but finally Reynard struts out of the van holding a wrapped-up bundle close to his chest like it's the Cullinan diamond. I'm waving like maniac, trying to get his attention, but he straight up ignores me. I yell and try to break through the wall of noise, and just when I'm about to, a shotgun blast tears through the din, a deafening silence in its wake. Panic fractures the crowd. The sad agents finally comprehend the clusterfuck, but it's too late. Tharmas and his Psycho La Sombra crew rip into them, removing any chance of retaliation. It's pure anarchy. Then Tharmas, that crazy bastard, turns on Reynard with a snarl. The other La Sombras pounce on the other agents who've just managed to stumble out of their sedan. And me? I'm just standing there, paralyzed, completely fucking useless. Amid this mayhem, the Times Square ball illuminates the night with vibrant colors as it nears the end of its descent. It's weirdly gorgeous. The most beautiful thing I've ever seen. My voice falters. Let's be a bit more decisive. Reynard! He was everything. My maker, my mentor, my shield, the supreme overlord of bullshit. But now, he looks at me. When he looks at me, there's nothing there. I don't know who this person is. Maybe the Reynard I thought I knew was never real to begin with. Reynard, don't! His gaze jumps from the vial he's clutching to Tharmas, then to me, and then he's gone, dashing towards Central Park, just fucking off and leaving me stranded. Again. I finally shove my way out of the crowd, barely noticing Tharmas and one of the other La Sombra goons in pursuit of Reynard. But I'm not really focused on them. No, it's because the last La Sombra is coming at me, eyes screaming, "I'm gonna fuck you up," against the backdrop of the bloodied, sad sedan. Is this the kindred equivalent of staring down the barrel? I fight back as hard as I can, but he's just too strong. He slams me to the ground, his eyes burning with a wild frenzy, hungry for my final death. I close my eyes, steeling myself for what comes next. It's close. I can sense it. My reckoning. And then, pain. Excruciating pain. Like a blade carving through my cheekbone, burrowing towards my brain. But the oblivion does not come. Instead, the heavy weight of a motionless corpse pins me down, oddly comforting, like a big, warm, chunky blanket on a winter night. My eyes snap open. The La Sombra thug, his head a gory mess, rolls off me in slow motion. Guess the same bullet that obliterated his skull must have kissed my cheek too. The sidewalk next to me erupts with a deafening blast. I'm up and running before I can think twice, not even glancing back because it's clear the SAD isn't fucking around. They've got snipers ready to pick me off. The crowd's thinning, but there are enough people left for me to slip away. I'm heading straight for Central Park. And with every step, wrath grows within me like a tidal wave, stronger and more vicious than ever. When the sound finally reaches me, the outcome of the pursuit is obvious. Reynard's on the losing side. The only breaks in the sickening rhythm of soft, fleshy impacts are his agonized groans. Ugh! I edge closer, stepping from shadow to shadow, careful not to land myself in a similarly shitty scenario. When I finally see him, holy fuck. Reynard looks like hell. Legs broken, nose caved in. That smug grin of his has been wiped away clean. A few dark stains show where the damage got too severe. His VtM now still painting the dimly lit pavement. And then there's Tharmas, flaunting the prize that Reynard was so desperate to get, now firmly in his grasp, mockingly dangled just out of my sider's reach. He carefully unwraps the cause of all of this ruin, holding it up to catch the moonlight. The relic of my lineage, essence without form. Zapathasura's blood. All that chaos over this little thing? Seriously, Castle, your pathetic bloodline doesn't justify such defiance. Honestly, it's hard to argue with that. The blood looks mundane, just slightly darker and thicker than the regular stuff. But there's more to it. An elusive, intangible allure, something hypnotic. Second time in 2 games where we get pestered by snipers. Indeed. As if it's whispering to me. Give it to me. Another sickening sound, another bone gone wrong. This time his arm, twisted like a corkscrew. The wound could heal quickly, but... gods, he's a wreck. And I feel... nothing. Absolutely nothing. Tharmas quickly stuffs the bundle back into his jacket and signals his La Sombra goon to keep an eye on Reynard. Then he grabs the machete, the same one Reynard magically whipped out against him not too long ago. The thought of diving in to save my sire barely tickles my brain, then disappears before I can even consciously squash it. Time to wrap things up, huh? Castle, go fuck your... Ah! Even in the faint moonlight, I see his teeth scatter through the air and disappear into the fluffy snow. You know, Ritra wanted me to officially thank you for all your efforts before putting an end to your sorry ass, but... yeah, fuck that. We're short on time. Reynard manages to laugh, although it sounds strange, wheezy. Surprisingly, it doesn't feel like a laughter of resignation. What's so damn funny? Suddenly, a massive Doberman launches straight at Tharmas, knocking him down toward me. The dog snaps Tharmas's neck with a vicious bite that's nearly surgical, and his head rolls gently away from his body. Ooh, that's a lot of aggravated damage. I'm pretty sure Tharmas saw me before being decapitated. Just didn't have the chance to rat me out to his buddy. Reinhardt's machete falls close by. I pick it up, almost unconsciously. It's nice to feel something tangible in my hand. It reminds me that what I'm seeing is real. The ever-present New Year's Eve lights glint off of its blade. The music from Times Square amps up, drowning out all the sounds in the world. Reinhardt's poor, loyal mutt does not make it. The other La Sombra goon finishes with a swift, lethal strike, and the door's departure is marked by a soft, regretful whimper. Shame. I had more affection for that dog than its master. The goon makes a move for Tharmas's corpse, going for the vial. I don't even blink, don't pause to think. I just let loose with a machete, pouring every ounce of strength into one strike. His head hits the ground with a thud, his body crumpling right after. I can feel my legs. Reinhardt catches my eye, but it keeps his mouth shut. Whether he's physically unable or just does not want to speak, I don't know. It's not like I give a damn. Unfortunately, yes, the dog too. I grab the bundle and peel it open. Holding the vial up to the moonlight, it looks underwhelming. How could such a simple thing spark so much madness? But this aura it gives off, power, potential, risk, lineage, the threat of eternal demise. This could brighten the future, or spell the doom of my entire clan. Kali... Ah, fuck. His voice barely cuts through the buzzing in my ears. The numbness has spread from my legs. I can barely move my fingers, then my eyelids feel frozen. Kali, hand it over, please. I've never felt less like myself. Just a sip, goddammit. I'll be up and running in no time. Excuse me for that. I've never felt more like myself either. No. Kali, things I could go back to how they were. Together, we could do so much more. Reach heights. Shut the fuck up, Reynard. Just shut up for once. And he does. For once, he actually listens. I finally see you for who you are, and I'm just tired of your bullshit. I'm done letting you spew any more of it. You ungrateful cunt. I should... You owe me... You know what? You took it too far past critical mass. And now? A distant radio crackle and the sound of footsteps signal that the SAD has picked up my scent. Now you deal with the fallout. I slip the vial into my belted bag and start to walk. Feeling returns to my body, like it's made of lead. But I can't move again. Don't you walk away from me, kid. I made you. I keep walking. I don't dare look back. I can't bear to. Kali! I break into a full sprint. I just can't. I need to get out of here. I get swept up by the crowd again. Oh god. My instincts are screaming in overdrive as a wildfire of pure, raw, unadulterated panic threatens to explode inside my head. 6! Then it hits me. The familiarity of this crowd, its rhythm, pulsing, moving as one, buzzing from every conceivable high, pulsating with anticipation, desire, ecstasy. The crowd is where I belong. 5! I literally came into the world this way. My mom gave birth to me in the middle of a desert rave, right in a goddamn public pool. all my firsts that happened in the heart of such a crowd. First deception, first puff of weed, first psychedelic journey, first true intimacy, first shady deal. I was in a crowd like this that I was embraced. 4. Fucking hell, Reynard, why? Why in the... He had a knack for making everything seem within reach, for making me believe that this odd life of ours meant something. That I meant something. Was I nothing more than a tool in your hands? Did any truth ever escape your lips, or was it all lies? 3. I let the sea of bodies carry me, transform me, merging into the totality of sensations, a singular, overwhelming experience. And just like that, I'm back to myself. No more sad tales to worry about. If they were ever really on to me, I'm sure they get distracted by the decoy I dropped in Central Park. I feel like shit. But for the past week, pretty much everyone been treating me like shit. And some have been at it way longer, just dressed up as care. Patrick, 2. It's only now that I catch sight of the Times Square ball hanging right above me. The countdown's on. Almost midnight. Welcoming 2025, the year brimming with potential. Hopefully for me too, Callie. The year for change. But what about you, my dear phony caitiff? Will you change too? Or will you remain obsessed with the belief that the answers lie somewhere beyond? That all you need is patience and diligence, and you'll be led to them in the end like a lost sheep. I truly hope you find your way back to reality. Maybe 1. Maybe then, I'll track you down. You'll be all stiff and awkward, and I'll hassle you till your eyes roll from their sockets. And together, we'll work it all out. Let's go! Happy New Year, my ass. I finally break free from the crowd. A quick scan of the area shows no immediate threats. No SAD, no hunters, no damn ivory tower in sight. Good. I'm done with this city. A week full of nightmares. In the everlasting game of survival, I got the vial, and Reynard got his due. It's time to give New York City a middle finger and never look its way again. It's for the best. My memory of getting here is all foggy. I must have strayed off the path more than a few times because of it's late as hell, with the sun about to peek over the skyline. How much time do I have left? 20 minutes? Maybe 30 if I'm lucky. Finally, I found the corner of the parking lot where I left the RV. There's a surge of relief when I spot her tucked away in the shadows, still in one piece. But the shadows don't feel empty. Callie? We're not alone. Fucking hell, Patrick, don't sneak up on me like that. If you're here just to... He's trying to act cool, slouching against my RV, but every line of his lanky body screams blood, wounds, agony, even if his face isn't showing it at all. In fact, it's totally blank, in that familiar, almost comforting way. But something's off about this whole demeanor. The way he looks at me, the way he's standing here as if he's not pouncing at me only because the pain is holding him back. My gut always goes nuts when I'm facing a real danger, and right now, I listen. My gut always... And so, I come to a halt. What's wrong? Are you hurt? I'm fine. It seems the SAD has started hiring amateurs. Or they're just slipping up, as I'm sure you're well aware. I am well aware, but how the hell does he know that? I just nod curtly and keep my mouth shut. I'm sorry about Reynard. I get that he was a flawed man who caused you more than enough suffering, but grief is rarely just black or white, is it? And while I never knew my own side, I can sympathize. I'm truly sorry for your loss. How do you... You've been spying on me? He shrugs with one shoulder, a pathetic attempt at nonchalance. Knowing things is what I do. Knowledge is power, right? And on the topic of knowledge... He takes a step forward and I instinctively take one back, tensing up, ready to flee or fight. He stops, gazing at me with his big empty eyes. Why don't you hand over the vial? So this is it, huh? I really am just a lone rogue. Callie versus the goddamn world. I'd laugh, but there is no joy left in me. Not even a trace of sarcasm. All this time, you lying sack of shit. I'm not your enemy, Callie. I just need the vial. Hand it over, please. In the end, survival's the game we play. I refuse. No, absolutely not. He sighs again, raising his hand to pinch the bridge of his nose. Don't make this harder than it needs to be. I'm asking nicely. For now. I feel my hackles rise, bristling like thorns. And I'm refusing nicely. Fuck off, I'm not giving you anything. I hiss at him, back hunched and fangs bared, but curiosity killed the raven. Why? Why the hell are you doing this? To kiss the sheriff's ass? To put me in my place? Tell me. I told you. It's knowledge I'm after. Be more specific. I'm just a blind tool, remember? Callie? He struggles a bit, his voice hanging in the air. I told you about my Malkavian heritage. It has plagued me for as long as I can remember. That vial contains my heritage, not yours. That vial, more than anything, holds immense power, a force vast enough to either usher in our doom or unlock the gateway to uncharted possibilities. It all hinges on who claims it first. He hesitates, but seems too exhausted to keep up with his facade of secrets. Vritra is certain the blood will expand her mind. She assured me it would grant her unique insight into the nature of our kind, and in turn the nature of my voice. I stare at him, mouth agape. Are you fucking serious right now? He just nods, his expression unreadable. Wait a minute. You've been in cahoots with Vritra this whole time? I fucking knew I was missing something. You asshole! You made me think you were scared shitless of her. I am scared of her. I really am. But, Callie, I'm old. Far older than you. 4 times your age, at least. I survived the fall of London. I've witnessed the true extent of the eternal struggle. I've even learned to outsmart the conflicting voices in my head. But this one, bizarre, distinct voice. I have to know why it still haunts me. I can't go on without answers. Vritra, she promised me that... I burst out laughing, fury and disbelief coursing through my veins. Oh, she promised you? Really? You absolute moron. Callie, I've never met her, not even once, and I'm 100% sure she's gonna fuck you over. How could she not? She fucks over everyone. He does not seem to hear me. You don't know her like I do. I have been in talks with her for months. She is reasonable if strict. Stay on her good side and she delivers on her promises. How can he be so naive? Has she actually come through on anything she's promised? Or has she just been stringing you along, using those promises as bait? He shakes his head, not in disagreement, but as if he wanted to dislodge my words from his ears. Just hand over the vial. Patty, wake up! Your obsession's leading you right to your own pit of decay. What happened to your instincts, to all the voices that prophesize the future? Where are they now when you're about to entrust Vritra with unimaginable power? Can't you see the end of the world in the making? What's wrong with you? Everything is wrong with me. The raw fury in his voice shocks me. I've never seen him so unhinged, eyes ablaze, fangs out, fingers curled into claws and ready for a fight. But just as quickly he regains his composure, shaking his head again and relaxing his hands. I'm going to ask you one last time. Please hand over the vial. I know for the past few nights have been hell for you, through no fault of your own, and for what it's worth, I've grown to like you. I really don't want this to get ugly. But I need that vial. So hand it over, now. If I were just for your sake, maybe I'd consider it. But for Vritra, no way. Absolutely not. We're done here, Patrick Conroy. I turn away from him and storm off toward the RV. But I don't get very far. Give me the vial. Suddenly, I'm no longer in control of my own body. My limbs are stiff, head frozen in place, voice lost. I'm a marionette, and my puppeteer has just pulled my strings taut. I turn against my own will, legs straining in protest, and step by step I walk toward Patrick, who is looking at me steadily, one hand extended and fingers dancing subtly, as if orchestrating my every move. And I can't stop. No matter how much I scream inside my head, urging my muscles to defy him, there is nothing I can do to break free from Patrick's indomitable will. Yeah, you don't shake off dominate that easily. I march right up to him and slowly reach into my belt bag with a trembling hand. And then it stops. Patrick pauses for a moment, his hand dropping towards his dice ring. He starts spinning it erratically with a distant look in his eyes, and though the invisible strings still tug at my limbs, I can feel them loosen with every damn spin. The moment his concentration wavers, I seize the chance. In that fleeting second of Patrick's hesitation, I grab the wooden stake he gave me on the first night we met and drive it into his heart in one swift move. He lets out a soft, startled sound and crumples onto the ground, unmoving. Only his eyes betray his consciousness, dazed, astonished, and absolutely terrified. I can't believe I feel sorry for him. The same jerk who pulled me along and pretended to care for nearly a week. Christ, I must be some kind of magnet for a very specific brand of asshole. Proven twice over in just one night. Well, lesson learned. The worst part is, this isn't even your fault. Patrick can't respond, of course, but hell, I'm not even sure who I'm talking to, him or myself. I crouch down, head buried between my knees, desperately trying to choke back the panic and grief swelling up in me like a tide. Dawn is almost upon us. I can't just break down now, damn it! I need to get out of here. I glance at Patrick, but quickly look away, seeing his eyes empty and soulless. I could remove the stake. Nobody deserves to burn alive, unable to do anything about it. But I just know he won't let up. My gut screams that the second I pull that stake out, he'll come at me again, stubborn as all hell. And right now, my gut's the only thing I trust. Patrick lied to me over and over again. About his ring, about his motives, his ties to Vritra. How can I trust him not to hurt me when he's just like everyone else? Maybe it's time I really start living like one of my kind, minding my own business instead of sticking my nose into others, even with the best of intentions. Survival is the game we all play. But it's the sun that dictates the rules. So let's have the sun decide. I leave Patrick sprawled on the ground and hop into my RV. I start the engine, slam my foot on the gas. You gotta look out for yourself, Callie. Nobody else is gonna do it. You gotta look out for yourself. I chant the words over and over like a mantra as I drive away, leaving behind Patrick, the Camarilla, the Anarchs, the city, this whole fucking mess, while the vial containing the blood of my most ancient of ancestors burns a hole in my belt bag. You gotta look out for yourself, Callie. But if I'm really just looking out for myself, why the hell do I feel so wrecked? This is my fucked up reckoning. And nothing in the world can take it away. January 2025. Reckoning's End. The vial rests on my palm, heavy with both promise and burden. The blood inside is dark, thick like syrup, and there seems to be a faint warmth to it. Toning down the volume once again, because you know it's coming. Or maybe that's just me making things up. I'm pretty good at that. I was told by the best of the best, after all. It looks so harmless, so bland, so plain, so boring. The blood of an antediluvian, the progenitor of my entire dwindling clan. God, I can't even remember his name. Zapathasura. Right, that guy. I'm not even sure if Reynard actually believed his own tales about saving our clan from extinction. What did he say again? The last time Zapathasura woke up, he almost wiped out all his descendants. And that was just the start of the mayhem. Sounds like a lot of crap, but I really don't know. Honestly, I feel like I don't know anything anymore. And yet, everyone's desperate to get their hands on this cursed thing. Aisling, Vritra, Reynard, Patrick. Oh, Patrick, you brilliant idiot. What would he do if he was in my shoes? He'd probably hold on to it and launch into some long-winded rant about the importance of knowledge. What he actually did was... Damn it. I'm really going to miss that goofball. Or at least the version of him I knew before tonight. The version that never really existed. When did I become such a fragile mess? But this vial looks just as fragile. I could just throw it away, watch the glass break and the blood splatter everywhere. Blood, feet, hunger. I guess I'll be like Patrick and hang on to you for a bit longer. It'll be our little secret. After all, I'm Ravnos, the rogue, the raven, the trickster. I am the secrets I keep. And there we have it, ladies and gentlemen. That was the end of the quest line of our first character. I'll let all of this play out. Note how many people are actually from Poland that worked on it. Quite a lot. I guess I didn't know Choice of Games was a studio based in Poland, but then again, I did work on the other game as well, and it was... And by the other game, I of course mean Werewolf Heart of the Forest. After all, they are making a lot of these. There are, of course, other games that we've yet to explore. And I'll try to show them off as we go along. Let's speed this up a little bit. Dear Villagers, Quantic Lab. I'm of course not familiar with any of these studios. World of Darkness brand team. Original Coteries and Shadows development team. Give a hand to these people. After all, they did give us our player character from Coteries and Julia in Shadows. That is a long list. I am honestly surprised at how long it is. While it happens, I think we can get the sound back up a little. And I think we can at least see if... See, now we're joined by Patrick here. So that means we can now play as Patrick. Let's hear his side of the story. Maybe it'll be different. I've never been this close to grasping the nature of my inner voices. The answer is almost within reach. Yet I can't help but question, when the stakes are at their highest, do I truly have what it takes to suffer the cost? Maybe you will. Maybe you won't. Maybe you'll end up, through the stake at your heart, winning your final death as the sun goes up. Maybe things will be different now that we're at the wheel. We are the intrusive voice that will guide you through this. We got 3 disciplines to choose from. Auspex allows Kindred to sift out the truth from the lies and read the minds around them. Dominate gives Kindred the ability to control the actions of others, alter their memories, and force others to act against their own volition. And Obfuscate allows Kindred to hide easily, move without being noticed, and divert the eyes of observers. I am leaning towards putting the point into Auspex or Dominate. Although Psych, we got no available points. Maybe we'll get one a little later, but for now, 2 points in Auspex, Dominate, and Obfuscate is all we get. So off we go. Once more, into the breach. Hunger on. Patrick relies on his caution and a mysterious liaison to avoid dangers and manage his hunger. Alright then. Night 1, the Dragon. Once again, 7 nights till New Year. The Brooklyn Bridge, shimmering in the East River at night, casts a hauntingly beautiful reflection. Despite witnessing countless global spectacles, there's an uncanny allure here. The flow of headlights reminds me of souls embarking on their eternal quest to Magmiel. Hard to pinpoint why, really, although it might be about the company soon to join me. I wish I were able to immerse myself in this scene, truly appreciate it, but tonight is not the night. I see myself as a patient man, unbothered by impulses, scornful of fleeting whims. Hell, I actively fight against those very ideas every second of my own life, with reason as my guide, resolve as my sword, and my ring as my shield. And I am accustomed to waiting here, on the deck of this opulent ship, where I am expected to feel put into my place, to earn her precious time. Vritra, say what you might, those in the city wronged by her certainly do not mince words, knows very well how to maneuver power dynamics under constant pressure. The lesser players wait, while those in control choose when and where to make their appearance. And so, I wait. Normally it wouldn't bother me, I know what paltry regard she has for me, but I'm due elsewhere in half an hour, and this delay is making it impossible to be in the Queen's on time. The very idea of being late vexes me to the core. Not only because I detest tardiness and being reprimanded for it, but also because it is utterly unbecoming of my position among the upper echelons of New York City. My role as a mediator between the Anarchs and Camarilla might seem superficial, empty perhaps, but this position was thrust upon me, scornfully I might add. It's better to play along and show them that their disdain is hardly enough to undermine my resolve. I am shaken out of my reverie by the sound of soft clacking footsteps on the deck. It seems she has deigned to grant me an audience. Greetings, Vritra. She doesn't respond at first, slowly sizing me up and clearly enjoying my unease. She is the only person in whose presence I feel self-conscious about my perpetual slouch. Not that it matters. Even if I stood upright, she would still tower over me like the mythical demon from whence she got her name. Forgive me for prying, but I'm already late for the council meeting. Is there a particular reason you've delayed me, put me at risk of arousing their suspicions? Vritra's face remains cold and inscrutable except for the corner of her lips, stretching minutely to a half-smile. There is a reason behind everything I do, dear boy, as you know perfectly well. Shouldn't a fashionably late arrival at Elysium diminish your perceived threat? No, it just makes me look like a despised scatterbrain could hardly pose any danger to the Ivory Tower, yes? Now tell me, is there anything you'd like to share regarding the Council? I want to answer her, but suddenly all I can hear are the echoing voices in my mind. Spill it. Tell her. Tell on them, lad. My hand instinctively seeks out my dice ring and spins it violently. You're nothing to them. Yeah, fuck 'em, boy. Fuck all of them. It lands on the 20 and the clamor in my head stops. Thank God. I straighten my back just a little. Spying on the Council for you is not part of our agreement. I'm not one of your pawns in this game. Surely you can get all the information you need elsewhere. She just smirks and stares at me unblinkingly with her unnerving, unmoving eyes. As much as I try to be stern, I'm not delusional. I know she could easily force anything she wanted out of me, and she probably won't. First, she wouldn't want to break her toy, especially one with so much potential. Second, since I have revealed nothing so far, she clearly must have another source of intel. But I have no idea where, despite my short private investigation on the matter. We stand in a prolonged, tense silence, with Vritra simply watching. Has the voice manifested again recently? I nod. Just nod. Tell me. It is a command, not a request. Thankfully, it's the one I'm glad to follow. Forgive me, but it was all rather convoluted. I caught fragments about the price of pursuit, the asking, and the shadow of the Daystar, but I do not know what any of that means. She nods to herself, her eyes still locked with mine, until I can't help but avert my gaze under the immense pressure. Then, surprisingly, for the first time tonight, it is she who turns away, looking thoughtfully to the horizon. And I can feel that rare impatience in me grow and fester like a wound. What is the purpose of our meeting if you keep your insights to yourself? Nobody is more surprised at this sudden outburst than myself, but the frustration forces me to move forward, even in spite of Ritra's slowly rising eyebrows. I have to understand the nature of the voice. I need to know why it speaks to me, and why it's different from all the others that I can control. When Vritra faces me again, her eyebrows are relaxed, her lips slightly upturned. All in due time, dear boy. Her grin widens, sending shivers down my spine. In several nights' time, I will gain knowledge beyond your imagination, and insight into the very fabric of our dark world. An associate of mine is nearing the end of his task, a task that heralds a new dawn. The end of your quest is nigh, but to that end I have to offer you a new bargain. I will share my knowledge with you, but only if you agree to accept it. I do not remember the sensation of my youth drying up in excitement, but I assume it resembles closely what I am experiencing now. I have to be careful. It's almost as if I am Fionn, on the verge of consuming the salmon of knowledge, blind to the potential fallout. And yet, what are your terms? Worry not, I won't make you go against your beliefs. I just need you to keep the council engrossed in the matters of least importance. I allow myself to feel a small bout of relief and smile a little. That shouldn't prove difficult. The council is already consumed by infighting instead of solving actual problems. Vritra smirks dangerously, showing rows of sharpened teeth. That may well change soon. Very soon indeed. Make sure to steer them away from anything that might hinder my cause. This time, when she turns away with a gentle wish of Tully, it's clear that the audience is over. I nod at her and take my leave. Or I am taken to my leave, rather, and escorted back to the same RIB that brought me here nearly an hour ago. As we make our way towards the shore, I stare at the ship a while longer, marveling despite myself. It's a perfect blend of low-key and lavish, always on the move, an impenetrable, inaccessible river fortress. It's no surprise Vritra chose this vessel as her base of operations. The fact that she never leaves its decks shrouds both the ship and the Hudson Dragoness herself in even more mystique. This deliberate aura of mystery has sparked considerable speculation about her nature over the last year and a half. Even though I've been meeting with her regularly for months, she remains largely an enigma to me. Aside from the fact that she must be one of, if not the most formidable kindred on the East Coast. One might think that only fools would deal with the devil, and normally I would concur. But if Vritra holds the keys to the answers I've been chasing for the better part of a century, the day star cometh, Fion. Then I am prepared to walk Fion's path, regardless of the cost. Rebuke at the Elysium. I shall be late for a crucial meeting at Elysium, all because of Vritra's ostentatious power play. The Council's growing mistrust of me will surely deepen further. The usually manageable traffic decides to betray me tonight, tacking on extra 30 minutes to my journey and pushing my fashionably late arrival into plainly rude territory. In moments like this, I cannot shake the feeling that Vritra is manipulating me, her fingers firmly wrapped around my throat, bending my destiny to her whims as one does a tender young branch. Struggling to put that thought aside, I arrive at the yacht hole in a sour mood. The Council has an eerie ability to detect even the slightest hint of stress, which they will exploit with all the subtlety of a ravenous bear mangling his prey. To further compound my irritation, one of Kadir's minions, my usual nemesis, guards the entrance to Elysium with his silent partner by his side. Kadir, what a surprise. My buddy and I were placing bets on how late he'd roll up. And if I knew you couldn't care less, I'd have doubled that bet easy. Somehow every word he utters manages to get on my nerves, no matter the topic. I pay them no mind and make my way to the entrance when suddenly a firm hand on my chest stops me cold. You enter on my say-so, Trash. Apologize, like the good boy you are. Let me through. Ain't no way we're letting you just stroll in there. You gotta show some culture. You could not spell culture if the letters came with handles. It's amazing you do not tip over from the sheer weight of ignorance you're lugging around. Now kindly clear the path, O great paragon of culture, or I'll clear it through you. He steps back with a vacant retraction of his hand and a dumbfounded look. I tip an imaginary hat his way. A slight improves my mood. Oh God, please don't be a fedora tipper, whether ironic or not. But the swift, soundless sway of the door to Elysium extinguishes the last flicker of my spirits. I've never harbored an affinity for modern art. It seems too loud, too chaotic, and often excessively abstract for my taste. Perhaps I'm old-fashioned, or perhaps I'm simply too old. However, I have learned to appreciate the frequent exhibits at the art hole, mostly out of necessity. My participation in discussions among the council members is minimal, so perhaps it was sheer boredom that eased my aversions, if ever so slightly. For instance, now would be an ideal moment to immerse myself in the extensive collection of street art on display. The latest and, for the moment, last exhibit before the gallery is temporarily closed under the pretense of renovation. For the past month, the space has undergone a significant transformation. The cavernous gallery, which used to echo with awed gasps inspired by the art, is now cluttered with equipment. The art hole has been converted into a makeshift command center by the order of Kadir, the local sheriff. And since a deafening silence befell the room the moment I stepped inside, there is nothing left for me but to look around and wait for the impending rebuke. I would much rather study the art pieces than endure the stern gazes of the council members, each laden with barely concealed disdain. You must be setting some kind of record, mediator. An hour and a half late. Kadir scoffs at me. His respect was never mine to claim, and judging by his unyielding expression, that door has now firmly shut. Please accept my sincerest apologies, esteemed members of the Council. I assure you this will not happen again. Our dear guest, your friend the Baron of the Bronx, has already made amends on your behalf. Quite persistently, I might add. Almost as if he foresaw this mediation role fall into himself. I shoot a glance at Torque. He can play it cool, but knowing him, he's fuming inside. Your appearance has already thrown us off course. Assume your position and let's proceed without further interruption. Unless you feel the need to mediate that proposition. I nod silently, feigning remorse, though there's little need to pretend. I genuinely detest being late. As I was saying, another group of Duskborn was destroyed last night, including a few Chantry-recognized alchemists. The onslaught has only escalated since Larson's final death 2 weeks ago. Oh please, Aisling. Larson was not but a laughingstock. I take a seat next to Torque, and he immediately leans closer, lowering his voice to a whisper that rumbles like distant thunder. What in the actual fuck, Patrick? You took forever. No one here knows about my little trips over to the Hudson, not even Torque. It's likely that not even Vritra's closest allies are aware of my involvement with her. That's why I always keep a handy excuse up my sleeve, one that's increasingly easy to concoct these days, though I wish it weren't necessary. Well, I encountered the troublemakers again. I had to clean them myself up before coming here. Damn. How many? Just a couple of unprepared fanatics. It's hardly an epic tale. I'm just a bit vexed that they held me up. And you didn't think to mention it sooner? If anything could get Kadir off your back, it's that. Come on, Torque. Do you really believe he would buy that? Torque gives me a look of mute understanding before he casts a sidelong glance at Kadir. Given the sheriff's interest in the hunter threat, I suspect he would question me about it rigorously, and I cannot risk losing grip on my tall tales. Look, I get that these nights are hard, but you've got to step it up, Patrick. You're making me look bad in front of the council, and our truce is already hanging by a thread. Fuck that mutt! Who the hell does he think he is? I know. I'm sorry about that. I listen in on the usual bickering of these meetings, but soon enough my mind begins to drift. We're well beyond the administrative stuff, for which I'm thankful. That's when I'm usually the least welcome and often pointedly asked to step outside the walls of Elysium. Still, I have drawn some conclusions about the current power struggle within the local Camarilla. In short, Addison Payne is making a play for Prince Panhard's position as her indecisiveness in the face of the current threats keeps undermining her influence. But that is just the tip of the iceberg, noticeable even from as far away as my provenience requires me to stand. The root of her problems seems to be continued fallout from Douglas Callahan's final death. From what I can tell, the former Anarch Baron, with whom she had a blood bond, was too deep in a risky game and got burned badly. The attempt to cover it up as a suicide would have succeeded if it hadn't been for Julia Sawinski throwing a wrench in the works. She exposed the scheme, revealing Carter Vanderweyden, the former Malkavian Primogen, as the mastermind behind the murder. Somehow, it never sat right with me. Knowing the court members better now, I'm fairly certain Vanderweyden was framed, although specifically why and by whom remains a mystery. Still, Julia's ascension to La Sombra Primogen appears too swift to be merely a chance. Torque has told me only so much, and I chose not to dig deeper, letting bygones be bygones. I get the feeling it's a sensitive subject for him, not from any moral compunction, of course, but because he was somewhat involved in Callahan's demise. That naturally brings me to the conclusion that either he has something on Panhard, or vice versa. Otherwise, his presence here wouldn't be accepted, or should I say, tolerated, and maintaining the shaky truce between the Camarilla and Anarchs would be even tougher these nights. Yet, as Panhard's support continues to erode, strikingly so in the case of Arturo, a man otherwise known only for his long-standing influence on the prince, Torque's sway is in rapid decline. And then, about 6 months ago, the Hunter anomaly appeared completely out of the blue, setting off a downward spiral. I step out of these musings only to discover that the topic at hand is entirely related to my thoughts. It is the usual interplay between two factions, Kadir pushes for aggressive action against the hunters, while Panhard, belittling the sheriff's confrontational stance, advocates for dialogue with Vritra, a tactic that has yet to produce any favorable outcomes. This stalemate seems to be stretching on and on. I lean in closer and whisper to talk. How long has this been going on? Maybe 2 hours? Honestly, I can't even tell anymore. It's endless and fruitless as usual. Suddenly, the bickering halts abruptly, like a knife slicing through the tension in the room. For a brief moment, I worry that I have just made my second and likely final mistake of the evening. Fortunately, their glances are directed elsewhere, and not at me. I wait, hoping someone will break the uneasy silence. What exactly are you implying, Sheriff? What kind of new lead are we talking about here? Last night, with Valerie's assistance, we ruled out the possibility that the SAD or any other federal agencies tied to the Second Inquisition are behind this aggression. Regrettably, whoever is orchestrating their operations remains a mystery. I must say, this hardly qualifies as a lead. It's more like a monumental setback. Perhaps. However, there has been another development. We suspect that a party from outside New York is involved with the arms trade, directly supplying the hunters with equipment. This party is a member of the Ravnos clan. A ripple of unease spreads through the room. How very fortuitous of you, Kadir, to uncover such vital information at such an opportune moment. There was some fortune in how we came upon this intelligence, I admit. Specifically, we accidentally intercepted a shipment filled with firearms. The shipment had almost no traceable marks. The driver, a ghoul, only knew about the intermediate stops and provided no clues about the final recipient. Sounds like Connian routing to me, honestly. Perhaps. But we managed to loosen the driver's tongue enough to force a name out of him. Reynard Castle. One of us. One of us. I pay close attention as the room falls quiet. The sheriff milks the silence masterfully, like a seasoned thespian. But I have to admit, that is impressive. Our research on Castle suggests he's a somewhat obscure con artist and a part-time blood dealer, who specializes in acquiring specific blood resonances. His name has surfaced in a couple of reports over recent years, yet until now his schemes seemed irrelevant to our operations. If this Castle has indeed been trading blood beyond our oversight, the circulatory system would certainly be aware of it. Well, I've got multiple confirmations on that story from different sources. And really, I think ignoring a potential clue just because your drones screwed up their records, Payne, is pretty damn foolish. Considering the scant information available on Castle based on what we know now, I'd say he's quite adept at staying off the grid. The name does not ring a bell. I wonder if Mato knows something about this Ravnos crook. But even if he does, he probably wouldn't talk about it, haunting past and all. In any case, the one thing is certain. There is a kindred actively stoking the fires of war by supplying our enemies with military-grade equipment. The evidence we've compiled on Castle might be circumstantial, but when you take a step back, it does add up. I'm convinced that Castle is the key to exposing the brains behind the Hunter movement. It sounds too good to be true, yet despite my reservations about Kadir, he usually is on point. Forgive me, Kadir, but all of it sounds like wishful thinking. How does a nobody from nowhere suddenly rise to warlord status? Just like that. Most crucially, why hasn't he been apprehended yet? We've been on his trail for a couple of nights now, but he continues to elude us. As for his motives, we may be close to uncovering them. Stop with the mysteries, Sheriff, and give us something substantial. The way Kadir levels Arturo with a look, I would rather not find myself on the receiving end of this gaze. We've learned that Castle's child recently surfaced in New York. Valerie was tasked with delivering her to the council. She should be escorting her to Elysium as we speak. You chose not to disclose this because... Arturo unceremoniously interrupts the prince. I squint at him with surprise. With his sophisticated manners, such uncouth behavior is highly irregular. What true insight could the child of a trickster possibly offer? Dishonesty is their clan's trade. It's doubtful she knows anything of Castle's schemes, and if she does, she's likely to feed us with lies. That's a remarkably astute observation from you, Arturo. I'm genuinely surprised. However, That's not the reason I'm bringing her in. My plan is to squeeze her until she spills her guts, or her cries lure Castle out from wherever he's hiding. A commotion rises and Panhard gets onto her feet. Have you finished weaving your fantasies, Kadir? Because I can't entertain these delusions any longer. We've already lost too much time on this while the true crisis goes unaddressed. It isn't me who's delusional, Prince. Or should I remind you of your own lapses in judgment? The bickering erupts once more. I tune it out and lean closer to talk. Do you know anything about this castle figure? Bits and pieces. I know at least one of ours has bought blood off him. I wouldn't call that Raven a major player, even if he was drawing blood from Cain himself. But that's not the real issue here. What Kadir is suggesting is a move that might just help us clear out the bastards who've been escalating their attacks on our turf. And it's not just blindly charging into the night looking for clashes the way Kadir loves to. The front door opens with a sudden yet graceful swing. It's Valerie, with another kindred in tow. Must be none other than Castle's child. The girl is a peculiar sight. Petite, dressed in what I can only describe as questionably fashionable rags, she scans the room with the eyes of someone calculating her quickest exit. Understandable, given the circumstance. I glance at the council members, but they are too wrapped up in their fervent argument to notice the newcomers. Valerie does not seem eager to interrupt either. Wouldn't have been such an issue if we had taken action when the signs were so glaringly obvious. If only the rest of us were blessed with your profound gift of foresight, Sheriff, our life would be a walk in the park. Allow me to emphasize, our risks aren't limited to a single front. Acting on a gut feeling might work wonders in motion pictures. Here, in the real world, it's a different story. Spare me the pretense of ignorance, Arturo. The pattern was unmistakable well over a month ago. Now, little bitch. Bad news is what she is. Liar, liar, liar. Upon a closer look, Castle's child looks wholly innocuous. Hardly the type you would associate with any kind of hostile activity. But something about her unsettles me. A feeling I can't quite put into words. My ring is spinning before I even acknowledge the need to do so. Your playful decision to allow the Thin Bloods to appoint Larson as their primogen raises the final death to a level that can't be casually swept under the rug, Helene. Thin-blooded or not, it throws into question our grip on the situation. What would you have me do then? Unleash our dear sheriff without adequate reconnaissance, just in the name of haste? We can't overlook his excessive efficacy in the last skirmish, can we? Doesn't the prospect of a masquerade breach give you pause? I sense Torque shifting next to me, his arm brushing mine. He is visibly agitated, the ongoing argument clearly getting under his skin. I figure we're all fond of keeping things the way they are. But there's times you just sit back and think, and then there's times you just gotta step up and do something bold. This feels just like it's time to make a move. An anarch championing chaos. A revelation that somehow fails to astonish, always esteemed Baron of the Bronx. I steal another glance at the girl. There's a look in her eyes that suggests she knows she's in a tight spot, but does she understand the full extent of the game being played around her? And how little importance the players attach to pawns like her. If deception is indeed a hallmark of her clan, she might. Nevertheless, I can't help but feel a twinge of pity for her, aware as I am of the daunting pressure on the council can exert. The asking is yours, Vion. Better to rip the band-aid off. We'll be here all night if we don't steer their focus her way. My apologies for interrupting, Mr. Payne, but it appears Miss Duval has brought forth the issue you mentioned earlier. It might be wise to ensure she is exposed to unnecessary information. Yes, thank you for that shrewd observation, caitiff. She hurls those words at me like a snake spitting venom. I wonder, would her attitude change if he knew I wasn't truly a caitiff? Esteemed Council, I give you the troublesome Ravnos neonate. I gather you all desire a swift resolution to this matter. Her disruptions have been minimal thus far. Let us hope that trend continues. Finally, their eyes shift to the matter at hand. I understand the formal necessity of addressing all this, as well as my role in the matter. However, there are more pressing concerns demanding attention. Far more pressing.
Shall we discard old traditions too while we're at it? We've pirouetted around the Hudson problem for more than a year, yet progress remains as stale as our debate. Certainly, a few additional moments to honor the very laws you spearhead so vigorously couldn't hurt, could they?
The Hudson is a completely different beast, as you're well aware. We need to address the locust swarm engulfing New York before Camarilla's entire framework crumbles beneath its weight. And how does that sit with you, Payne? Just last night, 2 Duskborn and a fledgling from your clan were reduced to ashes, and we're still in the dark about who's pulling the strings. Shouldn't that worry you more than policing the purity of the red market? In principle, I agree, Sheriff. However, should we continue to disregard the even minor infractions, we broadcast a message of vulnerability. Vulnerability threatens our efforts within and beyond our borders, efforts we plan to carry on without interruption once the locust swarm, as you've termed it, is eradicated.
I can't believe I'm saying this, but I'm inclined to agree with Gramps on this one. We can't simply let something like that slip through the cracks without taking proper measures. So you've assumed the role of his advocate now? Quite the bold descent up the ladder of your own making, Julia. What's next on the horizon? Another hostile... Enough! Enough already! An uneasy silence falls over the room. Everyone automatically slips into their accustomed roles. A month ago I might have speculated that their reactions were purely theatrical, honed through the years of political maneuvering. But right now, I have little certainty. Perhaps they are genuinely unsettled. When Prince finally manages to speak, her voice lacks the confidence you'd anticipate from someone at the helm. I sense she's not just putting on an act. We're all here for the same reason you are, Aisling. Or am I mistaken and you forget where your loyalties lie? Yep, this is everything that's happened in the background. After all, we are closer to the action and looking at things from a different perspective. Now let's put this issue to rest here and now. Strive for brevity, Sheriff.
Understood. Kali of Clan Ravnos, you stand accused of violating the New York Camarilla's praxis, infringing on the tradition of hospitality, and endangering the masquerade, among other things.
What? On what grounds?
Drop the act. There is a wealth of evidence in that recreational vehicle of yours, most of it confirming the suspicions we have been harboring over the recent months. Petty theft from our subjects, impersonation of other kindred, lineage forgery. Need I go on? But your involvement in large-scale blood and mortal trafficking outside of our scrutiny and the jurisdiction of the circulatory system is as obvious as it is dangerous to the stability of our domain. Especially with your clientele often being in direct hostility to our interests, as Primogen Payne was kind enough to confirm. While some might chalk this up to colossal stupidity, I'm neither so forgiving nor tolerant of fraudsters who respect nothing but their own gain.
I settle in, waiting for the drama to unfold. I'm genuinely curious about how this Raven girl will handle the questioning. What intricate web of lies, what complex, multi-layered stories might she spin just to save herself from the council?
This is not the time to be quiet, Raven.
This is total crap. I don't even own that RV. I snagged it on a rental from the Sarah guy in the Bronx.
Oh, did you, huh? What are the odds, right?
See? Why won't you grill your Baron friend over there? I once said a blatant lie, shooting Torque a questioning glance, but he just rolls his yellow eyes with impatience. Well, there was an attempt, I suppose.
I earnestly hope you're not taking me for a fool. That would be a misstep of monumental proportions, unlike anything else walls have witnessed.
Out of the corner of my eye, I catch a glimpse of the Tremere region silently mouthing what appears to be, "I beg to differ," and it would be hard to disagree. Suddenly the air is thick with tension. I catch Torque's eye as he looks at me. Kadir has had enough of the girl's attempts to weave her falsehoods. A curved sword swiftly materializes in his hand, plucked out of thin air.
I'm not here for your games, little Raven. Choose your next words carefully.
I'd argue this utter lunacy clears her of charges. She couldn't even cobble together a feeble story, much less orchestrate clandestine trading of this magnitude. And yarn spinning is supposed to be your clan's forte, isn't it? Last chance, my dear. Is there anything of substance you wish to add? There's a certain toughness in her demeanor. I look at her intently, her struggle as clear as the first snow of winter. I wonder if there's more to her than meets the eye. Let's gauge her intentions. I try to remain motionless, still as a shadow on a windless night, and fix my gaze on the raven. Her eyes look beyond what's visible, distant, deep. Yet the only thing I manage to discern is a profound internal conflict hidden beneath the surface. Guess there's not much point in playing dumb, huh?
Couldn't agree more.
Alright then. So, I indeed am tangled up in this little blood trafficking operation, playing a pretty crucial part if I do say so myself, though I guess not everyone's on board with that assessment. I do the logistics, pushing merchandise through a series of dark web channels. Every eyebrow in the room goes up, with the exception of Julia, whose lips curve into a slight smirk. All totally secure and anonymous. No slips about, our thing, everything masked by the hustle of more mundane black markets. No way we're blowing the masquerade. We deal in stored blood, as you might have caught on. Not just any blood, though. Our merch is a little jazzed up. Thaumaturgically enhanced, to be exact. It's the only way they'd work, as you're well aware. Right, of course. Oh, and we also deal in, let's call them family treasures. But honestly, that's more like a side gig than anything serious. But we're extremely careful about picking our clients and really thorough when it comes to making deals. You know, the traditions and all? I wasn't sure we'd never even come close to breaking them. At least that's what he led me to believe. The girl's voice drops, heavy with faux drama. I had a hunch there were some dodgy dealings in his more secret ventures. To deny that would be a flat-out lie. But let's be real, I'm way outside the inner circle to have a real sway in those parts of his enterprise. An uneasy silence sweeps over the room for a brief moment, theatrically at its best. His enterprise? Is this a joke? Exactly who is this he you're referring to? I presumed you knew it was my sire who's masterminding it all. The room is soon filled with muted whispers after the shocking revelation. I refrain from joining the murmuring crowd just yet. Indeed, how fortuitous. And your sire would be?
There's only one other notable rogue in the city who comes to mind. Someone dipping in and out, known for their shifty nature, of which I was somewhat aware. Reynard Castle.
You nailed it, Chief. Sir. Another brief moment of silence gets interrupted by Julia, who decides to throw her 2 cents into the fray. I can practically hear the cogs turning in your head, Kadir. What's your take on it?
Truth be told, it does add up, though I had him pegged more as a con artist than a trafficker. Then why hasn't he been apprehended yet, Sheriff? Are you secretly endorsing activities that impede the circulatory system's operations? For your own good, Payne, I'll pretend I didn't catch that. Or would you care to question my dedication to our cause again? Be warned, my patience wears extremely thin these nights.
Can we put this bickering on hold, at least for the moment? One more thing. Reynard and I had a meeting lined up with a client a few hours back, but he never showed up. In the whole year and a half I've been in this gig, he's never just vanished like this.
And what do you make of it?
To be honest, I'm not sure, but now that I think of it, he's changed over the past month. Become a lot more erratic than usual. Ready for my theory? I'm pretty sure he caught wind of your lot and decided to feed me into the flames while he made a run for it. I can't quite explain it, but there's an authenticity in how she constructs her story. Not every single word, perhaps, but the overall intent feels genuine, honest.
Shut up! Liar, liar, pants on fire.
I believe she truly does not know where Castle is, and it's tearing her apart.
Let her burn. She'll burn you to a crisp like a piece of trash.
Kadir's approach. It just doesn't sit right with me. Not the way he envisions it.
She is the key.
An unwitting pawn betrayed by her master. A likely story. Suitable for the stage indeed. But in this context, this just will not do at all. If I may...
Damn it, Patrick, don't go getting yourself into...
I ignore Torque, to my future detriment, most likely. In an instant, the top echelon of New York's kindred fix their eyes onto mine with unmistakable hostility. Since you've already disrupted the proceedings, you might as well say your piece, mediator. Very well then. I'm inclined to believe her, at least in the aspects most significant to the interests of our allies. As ever, your assertion remains devoid of substance. My guy's advice is pretty much always on point. His track record speaks for itself. I give Torque a grateful look, but he does not return it. I'm definitely in for a tongue lashing later. That much is clear. The sheriff has a point that seems to hold water. Her sire might just be the one at fault. She's essentially a non-entity, is she not? A nobody that slipped under the radar until by a stroke of sheer bad luck, she got caught red-handed. Do excuse the pun. When you give it another look, the evidence you have collected should indeed back up that claim quite convincingly. And what grounds your intricate evaluation, precisely? My judgment is shaped by your vast experience and simply tempered by reasoning and intuition. It changes little regarding the consequences she must face for her complicity in her sire's crimes. How about I serve you Reynard's head on a silver platter in exchange for mine, unscathed on my shoulders? Kadir glances at the girl with a look that could kill, something that happens far too often these nights, but at least he lets her speak. I know all his secret spots in this town, plus the spots he wouldn't touch with a 10-foot pole. I'm wired into his network, his contacts. I've got his playbook down, and I can stay one step ahead of him with ease. Just give me a chance, and we will all be thanking our lucky stars by the end. A quiet introspection befalls the room. It is apparent that opinions are split, yet gradually it seems the consensus is shifting in favor of the girl's proposal. I'll give myself an imaginary pat on the back. I have reservations about this daring proposition. Consider the potential fallout if this entire situation spirals out of control. Kadir throws up his hand, clearly having reached a decision. I cannot suppress a smirk, and how I disrupted their plans with barely a flick of my wrist. Quite the mediator I am, really. Capturing this well proved hardly a challenge. I wouldn't sweat the idea of catching her again. What's more, entrusting her with Castle resolves two issues at once. It swiftly eliminates her presence and enables us to prioritize genuine concerns. But someone has to keep a constant watch over her. Valerie, perhaps one of yours? How about him? It takes me a moment to notice the Ravnos girl pointing directly at me, and even longer to realize the implications. Stupid, stupid, stupid. My eyes quickly sweep over the council members, catching the faint smirks on their faces. This cannot... Surely you're not considering... This could play out quite favorably, I must admit. Quite favorably indeed. Bollocks. Very well. Patrick Conroy, I hereby appoint you as the agent caretaker for this Ravnos neonate. I hate to break it to you, Sheriff, but this call is out of your turf. He's with us, Anarchs, and you know it well enough. Technically, when he took on the whole peacemaker role for our city's cliques, he acquired a level of neutrality, so yeah. None of that matters. I realize as soon as Kadir redirects his gaze to me. Your responsibility is to ensure that she fulfills the assignment within 4 nights, starting now. Any slip-ups on her end will reflect on your record as well. Do we have an understanding? My throat is parched. I nod in resignation. Clearly, the situation has moved beyond my control now. Stupid little Paddy. Fucking moron. 4 nights. Not long at all, yet they stretch it out like an eternity ahead of me. This arrangement might also hamper my visits to Vritra. Now, back to where we were. I suppose all I can do is grit my teeth and do my best to track Castle down. The sooner I get down to it, the faster I'll be able to return to my own agenda. And I doubt the girl will be much help. Unless, of course, that Ravnos trickster turns out to be a wild card. Yeah, I think I'll take a quick sip of water and be right back. Yeah, that definitely helped. My throat is no longer killing me. Let's continue where we left off. Up in the air. If I let the Ravnos girl out of my sight, things will get extremely unpleasant for me. But playing chaperone complicates my dealings with Vritra. Let's just hope she does not prove to as troublesome as she looks. Well, we all know how this story ends. But still, I leave Elysium with my mind set. The Ravnos girl sighs loudly with relief when the door slams shut behind us. Unnecessarily, of course, but she is still young and some old habits die hard, such as grimacing to oneself while deep in thought. I'm sure a hustler like her would like to think that she's like a blank canvas, mysterious and impossible to read. But she is in fact the exact opposite. I can tell the very trajectory of her mind just from the furrowing of her brow, the set of her jaw. How she hates the Camarilla for what they are and how they act, how pleased she is to have seemingly conned them, and how displeased she is to be stuck with me. Yeah, you should do that. And I should have a glass of water on hand. Or at least a cup. It takes two to dance this tango of contempt. Keep making that face at me and it might just stick that way. Ever thought about gouging your eyes as a solution? I cannot tell if she is making a convoluted allusion to the Bible or just saying the first thing that comes to her mind. Either way, she sounds like a petulant child. Very well. The child treatment it is. I was explicitly told to keep my eyes on you, to watch over you, and need be, even look out for you. That's quite a vision-centric assignment, wouldn't you say? Do what you will, but know that my job would be a whole lot more pleasant if you worked with me here. Shame no one asked me to make your job easy. Shame indeed. Moment. She shoots me a defiant glare and whirls around, stomping away, and I feel an exasperated sigh escaping my stagnant lungs. I feel certain my own old habits will rise from the dead over the next 4 nights. But we have no time for tantrums right now. Let's remind her of the dangers. Dawn is upon us and we need shelter. Unless you wish to tempt fate, let's get moving. My haven isn't even in this part of town. You're gonna learn real fast that tempting fate is my sort of thing. Hold up, what do you mean, your haven? It seems communicating with her will not be as easy as initially assumed. A very stubborn young woman, this Callie. Alright, hear me out. I get that this whole thing is a bit of a pain for the both of us. Trust me, I have no more desire to mind you than you have to be minded. But let's rewind for a second. You were the one who picked me out at Elysium and got us both into this mess. If I let you out of my sight, things will get proper unpleasant for me. And believe me, I'm speaking from experience. I step closer and use my full height to tower over her in an honest-to-God attempt at intimidation. But you will be torn to shreds by Kadir's hounds before you could say oops. I'll sniff you out sooner rather than later. That is a stone-cold fact. Judging by her confused face, however, I do not think my tactics are working. So how about we skip the theatrics and you tag along to a place I know is safe? We can regroup and figure out our next move come nightfall. Go to her car, her baby, her precious. I stop mid-sentence, grab my ring and spin, and spin, and spin, hitting it 20 every time until the voices count down. She wants to go to her RV. Let her do it, do it, do it, do it. No, your RV is completely off the table. Surprise blooms on her face, but she reins it in skillfully. Not a problem. I've got a solid 7 other hideouts. I hide a smirk. I'm sure you do, though if they haven't been seen your shadow for the last 6 months, I'd wager they no longer exist. Mind sharing where they were? It's an honest question, as I was one I ask only because of the recent upheaval in New York, but she does not take kindly to it. Hello, is this Secret Service speaking? Like I'd spill my shit to you. Just so you know, my network is sprawling and meticulously crafted. Think global spiderweb. This time I couldn't hide my mocking smile even if I wanted to. Sounds more like you're the fly caught within, believing it's your own very kingdom. Meanwhile, the fat spider at the center waits its chance patiently. Yes, keep channeling your inner Keats. Gosh, she very clearly hasn't even read a lick of Keats. In any case, we need a place to rest, and my haven is the safest choice. I'd really hate to resort to violence, but don't presume I won't drag you there if the need arises. It's your call. Every time I don't get a say, it somehow turns out to be my call. Come on, what do you think I'll do? Run away? Obviously. She makes a sad, pouty face. Oh, ye of little faith. When I try to bail you on Christmas night? You sticking around might just count as a true holiday miracle. And no, I don't bank on holiday miracles. If you are under the impression I'll let you out of my sight, then you are not paying attention. Come, let's not dilly-dally. She grimaces at that, but I'm not sure whether it is about me keeping a permanent eye on her or my choice of words. But I do not care. Alright. After you. I can almost smell the scheming of the Ravnos girl, Callie, as we make our way through the night streets of New York City. She glances at me from time to time as if searching for an opportunity. Thankfully, my voices leave me for the moment, but I still keep fiddling with my ring. Emotional support, I think they call it these days. Out of the corner of my eye, I see her rummaging through her belt bag, but I pay her no mind. I doubt anything in there would pose a genuine threat to me. Besides, the longer she concentrates on something aside from antagonizing me, the better. I hope she will spend the rest of our journey together in blessed silence. Unfortunately, almost immediately she clears her throat in an obvious attempt to catch my attention. But when I turn to her, expecting a mocking sneer, she looks almost embarrassed. So, what I'm trying to say is, I'm sorry for getting snappy earlier. Rough night, you get it? That is an unexpected turn of events, to say the least. Well, an apology isn't quite enough, but it's a start. Yeah, we got off the wrong foot, huh? Let's start again. Name's Callie. With that, she extends her hand. I let it hover in the frigid air for a moment, not because I don't intend to take it, but because I am flabbergasted by, and slightly suspicious of, this sudden contrition. But her eyes are wide and innocent, so in the end I reach out and shake her hand. Patrick Conroy. To my confusion, she clasps my hand in both of hers and shakes it with near zealous vigor. Nice to meet you, Patrick. Fancy seeing a magic trick? What? I beg your pardon? She flashes me two things, a nasty smile and my dice ring hidden in the palm of her hand. I can feel my stomach sink and turn to ice as if VtM was evaporating from my body. Before I can lunge at her to retrieve my ring, she takes a big swing. Want your precious ring back? Then fetch! She hurls the ring into the distance. I hear it clink off a wall and I'm compelled to dash towards that sound. I Forget about the council, assignment, Ravnos, everything, desperately feeling around for my ring. I vaguely hear her rapidly receding footsteps, but I don't care. The voices stay mercifully quiet while my mind is both fogged over and focused like a rapier. I need to find my ring. I need... And then I actually look down at my hands and see that there is nothing missing. All of my rings, the dice were included, remain in their respective places, as if they have never even been touched. The relief that washes over me is enough to put out the fire of rage that threatens to consume me whole. I straighten up and look thoughtfully into the sky. It has indeed been a neat magic trick. But it might be time for me to show one of my own. I should have been more careful, vigilant. I should have known she'd be unrepentant with her trickery. I should not have underestimated her. She's dead. It's your fault, stupid fucking Pally. Callie's escape is complete. Even her footsteps have turned into silence and disappeared into the mess of hardened, walked-over snow. How careless of you, Patrick. Well, no matter. Even though I'm still somewhat rattled by the prospect of losing my ring, a young runaway neonate should prove no trouble. Let the hunt begin. I let the smell of the air and vibrations bouncing off buildings guide me through the many narrow, almost empty streets. I wander around for a few minutes, eyes darting and ears straining, until I finally catch it. There is a commotion in an alleyway. Silent, quite as the night itself. Even after all these decades, it is still surreal to feel no sound leave my body when I move, deadlier than a prowling panther. I creep towards the alleyway, avoiding the too generous light of the street lamps, and peer inside. What I behold is carnage in the making. A group of hunter thugs have Callie encircled, screaming invectives and gearing for an attack. Oh no, she's gonna croak! Don't let her die. Save her now. I spin my ring and silence the voices who keep trying to lead me to my doom. I don't even need to notice that this hunter cell is much too small and inexperienced to pose a real danger to a kindred. Simply ignoring my voices will lead to a positive outcome. As it always does. I haven't made my name as the one with all the answers for nothing. I turn my weakness into a weapon. I spend my time sieving out the meaning behind the drivel with which the voices poison my mind. This time the meaning is clear. Callie is not in danger. Yet. I decide to observe for a moment. Little Raven is strong. She's not a prodigious or experienced fighter. Her movement lacks restraint and precision, with all the ways her limbs flail around, uncoordinated. Thankfully, her undead strength and speed make up for what she lacks in skill. Otherwise, she might hurt herself before the hunters get to her. Observing the combat, I see the moment when true danger comes. There is one hunter who has evaded Callie's perception. The man kicks her to the ground, straddles her, and raises a sharpened stake above her heart, ready to strike. She has no time to react, but she does not need to. I dash towards the hunter and encircle his neck with my hands in a tight grip. I twist it all the way around, reminiscent of some old horror movie owl, and then drop him carelessly to the ground. With an oh-so-casual demeanor, I retrieve the stake and toss it lazily a few times. You've lost something. Piss off. I believe thank you is the phrase you're looking for. You should be glad I fetched the ring in record time. She's still lying on the ground, looking grumpy and dejected. I can't blame her. It seems it really is not her night. So I extend a hand towards her and she glares at it angrily for a while before pushing herself up onto her feet. I grace her with a wry smile. Why don't you hold on to the stake? Consider it a memento of the time you nearly got taken out by a few hunters and needed my intervention. A slice of humble pie, if you will. She grudgingly takes the stake, avoiding my gaze, and tucks it into her belt bag. For the record, I had it under control. But wait, hunters? I'm sure you did. I, however, am yet to hear a single thank you. She stares at me resentfully. I simply return her silence. Thank You... You're very welcome. And yes, those were hunters. You didn't seriously think it was the sap, did you? I failed to suppress a chuckle at that ridiculous notion, and she just scowls even further. Do not take it personally, but if it were sad you were up against, you'd have been taken out before you even realized there was a threat. They're too well organized, too professional. These guys, however, I sweep my head around, gesturing towards the fallen hunters. Well, they haven't quite mastered the element of surprise. Still, running into that many in one place? Kadir mentioned something about a locust swarm back at Elysium, but come on, twice in one night? That's more than just bad luck. She sounds truly morose, as if adversity were not a familiar foe. I guess some kindred are lucky. But this time she is also correct. Indeed, New York is nowhere near as safe for our kind as it once was. This is not your typical hunter behavior. It's an anomaly, and its source is still unknown. Until we figure it out, I strongly advise against sprinting like a demented cheetah, biting whatever is within arm's reach, or showing off your unique powers. For your own safety, assume you are under constant surveillance. Choose your moments wisely. She winces and rolls her eyes, looking bored as if listening to a lecture at school. But I can't see the corks turning in her brain. Perhaps she has grasped the depth of dangers awaiting the kindred in New York City. Which tells me I should only drive my point further. And you might want to rethink your attempts to ditch me. I might not arrive in time to save you the next time you get in trouble. She rolls her eyes again, but nods. All right, maybe sticking with you might have some benefits. I cock my head thoughtfully. Am I hearing things, or was it a compliment? She snorts inelegantly and waves her hand. Let it go to your head. I don't expect to repeat. Now, about that haven of yours. Where caitiff lies low. The dawn is upon us, and the streets are teeming with peril. I should take that unruly raven to the one place I know is safe. My haven. The walk feels endlessly long. Calais is quiet, either fatigued or deep in thought, and I relish the silence, because I anticipate many loud battles ahead. Before I know it, we're already here. There. This is our stop. Let's head inside. Dawn is nearly upon us. She winces, shaken out of her reverie, while I step through the door first and leave it open for her. Even though I don't look back, I keep my wits about me in case she makes a run for it. She does not, thankfully. I'm glad my small sign of trust was received favorably. Or maybe she's just too exhausted for tricks. Home sweet home. Looking around my haven, I realize that it might not be what one would call socially acceptable. I haven't had guests in... Frankly, I don't remember ever inviting anyone over. I am seldom flustered, but when Callie casts a judgmental look over the books, papers, random notebooks, and notes covering every inch of every available surface, I suddenly find myself discomposed, agitated even. I rush to clean up, picking up an armful of things along the way. Make yourself at home. The couch is all yours. I make sure that all the shutters are ready for daybreak. What's with the paper explosion? You fancy yourself a writer or something? No. Not anymore, anyway. Callie cranes her neck, trying to decipher some of my notes, and I let her be. My research is far too extensive and complicated to explain in one night. When she shoots me a disappointed frown, I just look at her blankly. And she caves. Why would I take it the wrong way? Dunno. I thought maybe you'd take it as an insult or something. I give her a faint smile. She seems a bit less uncomfortable in my presence, which bodes well for our future endeavors. Get some rest. We've got a busy night ahead of us. She collapses onto the stray sheets of paper on the couch, and it is all out is out of it in a matter of seconds. I make sure the door is closed, put away the more interesting books in my collection, and then I follow her lead. The deep void of slumber welcomes me with suffocating arms the way it does every morning, and I let myself be strangled to sleep by the comforting darkness. 6 months ago. Ah! Hush now, hush. You're in good hands here. We're nearly through, just a few moments more. Oh, show some backbone. It is a privilege to be one of the chosen. This is my blessing that I am bestowing upon you. Vicissitude is a fine art, and you are the clay to which I give shape. A dash of discomfort is but a small fee for such grandeur. Now silence. My concentration must remain unbroken. You would not wish for an error, one that misshapes something as vital as your glabella, would you? Now let me take a good look at you. As expected. Perfect. Hauntingly alike. So, turns out Payne's servant was replaced by Vritra's pawn, and by extension, this makes her responsible for the detonation at the Elysium. Let's see what Patrick's notes on the different characters are, if there are any. Drifting through life from one rave to another and scamming people for a living, Callie was a ravenous through and through, long before catching the eye of Reinhardt Castle. Seeing her as a potential asset, he promptly embraced her almost 2 years ago. Her unique insight into human nature and access to secure dark web trading channels have been a great boon to her coterie. As the logistics expert, she ensures the merchandise, no matter how shady, ends up in the right hands. However, with her sire's mysterious disappearance, Callie must learn how to swim on uncharted waters instead of simply relying on her gifts and Ladyluck's smile. Don't worry, I was about to finish up soon as well. Considering the time is getting low. And by low, I of course mean late. I'll just quickly jump to the next night. Six nights till New Year. Just a week away. And with that, as expected, some questions have been answered, while some still pose a genuine question. And look at that, we do have a chapter select, both from Callie and Patrick's perception. Maybe there will be different outcomes based on what choices we make, but I cannot be certain. But for now, I would like to thank you all for coming, and I will see you all next time, because tomorrow we will be going back to Shadowrun Hong Kong. It's waiting on us. Anyway, until next time. See ya.